What's going on, guys? In this video, we're going to talk about upcoming unemployment data. We're also going to talk about Bitcoin on exchange dropping to new lows. We'll take a look at what's been going on with the Bitcoin ETFs, and then we'll look over a couple other things as well. But first off, we do have some job data coming up. On Wednesday, we have ADP employment data, and on Thursday, we have a US unemployment report, as well as initial jobless claims. And the market is going to be closed on Friday for the 4th of July. Now, it is expected that the unemployment rate will rise to 4.3%, which is the highest we've seen in over a year. And over the last few months, we've just been hovering at this 4.2% unemployment. One thing that's been allowing the Fed to basically keep rates where they are. If we see unemployment continue to tick up, or start ticking up, I should say, it does increase the probability of the Fed being able to cut rates. But of course, we do need inflation data to go in the right direction as well. Looking at the Fed watch tool, it's very likely we're going to have to wait one more meeting until we get the cut in that following meeting. In September, we do have very good odds for a rate cut. And looking at the end of the year, we have extremely good odds for 2, even 3 rate cuts. Right now, we have a 45% chance of 3 cuts. And the likelihood of this will increase if we see inflation data such as CPI, PPI, PCE coming down, as well as unemployment going up. The likelihood of rate cuts increases, which is good for risk on assets. Now, we did have news on Monday that MicroStrategy bought more Bitcoin, and they are getting awful close to 600,000 Bitcoin held. In their next update, they will reach it. And then, of course, we have Peter Schiff to try to rain on the parade. At some point, MSTR will run out of suckers willing to loan it money or buy its overpriced shares. Then MSTR's lack of support will result in Bitcoin crashing well below your average price, which is already close to 71,000. The replies to your comment is all anyone needs to know about the usefulness of your take. Bitcoin ETFs and even Ethereum spot ETFs have been seeing a tick up in inflows, and Bitcoin ETFs are now sitting at $134 billion in net assets, only a little more than a year since they launched. That is insane. This is now 6.27% of Bitcoin's market cap. These ETFs are continuing to lock away more and more Bitcoin, as we also see publicly traded companies continuing to buy Bitcoin as well. And in only the last 15 days, BlackRock's IBIT has seen $3.77 billion in net inflows. Ethereum ETFs, which had a rocky start, are now sitting at $10.3 billion in net assets, or 3.4% of their market cap. Of Ethereum's market cap, I think they meant to say. Bitcoin ETFs have a 15-day streak, totaling $4.73 billion in that time. And Ethereum currently is at their 3rd consecutive day of inflows, bringing in $1.16 billion in monthly inflows so far, which is their highest since June of 2024. Maybe this is the beginning of an altcoin season. Bitcoin's dominance is starting to pull back, but it's still near its highs. But based on the 4-year cycle, this is where we should see some hype coming into Ethereum, coming into the altcoins. As Bitcoin goes up, these alts go up more so. That is what we typically see during alt season. It doesn't mean that Bitcoin performs badly. We need Bitcoin to perform well for the alts to perform well as well. And if we end up seeing what we have always seen every cycle, we should see alts starting to shine at this point. Looking at Bitcoin on exchanges, we are seeing it hit new lows. It is at 2.04 million. And it just continues going lower as Bitcoin is taken off of exchanges, put into public companies, as Bitcoin is continuing to be accumulated with these spot Bitcoin ETFs. As more and more companies mention Bitcoin treasury strategies, we should continue to see this. Could be a matter of days until Bitcoin balance on exchanges finally cracks under 2 million coins. And as we get through each halving, Bitcoin will become more and more scarce. Slow and steady accumulation is key. Now, looking at Bitcoin on the chart, I do see a pattern we've been in. After our nice uptrend, it looks like we are in a possible downtrend unless we can break out of this, unless we can hold the 50 MA. Otherwise, we may see this swing down, possibly a test of the 200 MA. Maybe we don't see this swing down and it's able to break out of this descending resistance. But so far, it hasn't done that. And this is one thing we need to see if we want to see the Bitcoin miners continue to go up here. And if we want to see a good alt season rally, we do need to see Bitcoin break out of these all-time highs. On a very positive note, Bitcoin ended Q2. April, May, and June quarter has come to an end. And this should be a very good quarter for the Bitcoin miners in terms of seeing an unrealized gain on their Bitcoin holdings. Bitcoin started this quarter in the 80,000s. And it basically ended this quarter at around 107, 106. A very nice unrealized gain on Bitcoin for the Bitcoin miners compared to last quarter Q1, where many posted a loss because of Bitcoin's unrealized loss. It started the quarter at around 97 and ended the quarter Q1, the quarter before this one, at 82,000. This is a loss on the quarter, and this is a stark contrast to last quarter. And I do suspect that the market is waking up to the Bitcoin miners, realizing that they are going to see a profitable quarter again, and realizing that they should see another profitable quarter if Bitcoin can break all-time highs and follow out its cycle trajectory. Now, I do want to pull up Mara on the chart. This is one that has very similar chart setup to a lot of the other Bitcoin miners. They also released their Bitcoin mining update, and they did see a decrease in coins mined. They also cite the weather, and there's one thing we're going to see in the heat of summer, a lot of these Bitcoin miners having to curtail their operations because of the extreme heat, because of potentially blackouts, because of energy constraints. That said, the market is reacting all right. It's up like 1-2% today. Some other Bitcoin miners are up more. Some Bitcoin miners are in the red today. But I do want to pull up this because the Bitcoin miners are doing all something similar. They're, for the most part, in between the 50 and the 200 MA, continuing to find the 200 MA as resistance. We need the golden cross. We need this 50 MA above the 200 MA. The Bitcoin miners need to see a nice little uptrend, get this golden cross to cross, and then comes the big move, like what we see back here when we got our golden cross. Back here when we got our golden cross. It is typically followed by a big move. But for now, we're still struggling in between the 50 and the 200 MA. And if Bitcoin does swing down, if Bitcoin doesn't break out of its descending resistance and hold that 50 MA like we were hoping for, then it's a good chance that these Bitcoin miners pull down too and fill out their patterns as well. Similar pattern to Bitcoin, this kind of a descending channel. We really need Bitcoin, and then therefore the Bitcoin miners, to break out of this descending trend they've been in. But how are you guys feeling this week? How are you feeling about Bitcoin on exchanges continuing to hit new lows? There's no end in sight with these spot Bitcoin ETFs. There's no end in sight with publicly traded companies continuing to announce these Bitcoin treasury initiatives. We're going to continue to see it. They are going to continue to gobble up Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin on exchange will get lower and lower and lower. And of course, we have next halving to look forward to. I know it's a bit ahead, but in this next halving, Bitcoin introduced every day will be cut in half. And the same thing 4 years from then, and 4 years from then, and 4 years from then. Bitcoin is getting more and more scarce, and that's basically how it was designed. And the only thing that will adjust because of this scarcity is price. Price will go up as Bitcoin becomes more scarce. But hopefully you guys are enjoying your day. I hope you enjoyed this short week. Here's to Bitcoin holding that 50 MA and breaking that descending trend. Thanks as always for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.